Hello, everybody, and welcome to another fantasy football tournament series, number 41. And this tournament includes the best national teams at the current moment from each confederation in a mini tournament, separated into two groups of three, where there is no host nation, but every team in each group plays each other twice, home and away. And then there's four semifinalists, a third place playoff, and a finals playoff. And I'm not sure what to title this kind of tournament, what to name it. I guess the tournament of I don't know. The tournament of each continent's best teams, at least in my own estimation, the best national teams right now from each confederation. So here are the six participants. From Europe, I have Spain. CONCACAF, it's Mexico. From Oceania, it's New Zealand. CONMEBOL is Brazil. Africa, it is Nigeria. And from Asia, it is Iran. So these are the six best sides right now. And I wanted to make a tournament to see what it would look like if all six teams played each other. Again, I don't really know what to name this tournament. I'll have to come up with a title before I upload this video. But I thought this would be pretty interesting and something new. So let's jump right in. So in Group A, Spain versus Mexico in the first match. I have Spain winning this 3-0. And then Mexico versus New Zealand. I have Mexico winning 3-1. New Zealand versus Spain, with New Zealand being the home team. I think Spain would send a reserve squad, but they would still win 2-0. The return leg in Madrid. Oh, good lord. I think Spain would thrash New Zealand here. Maybe 5-0. 5-0, maybe. Yeah, I'll say 5-0. New Zealand versus Mexico, with New Zealand at home. I'm going to go with a little bit of a shocker here. Go with New Zealand to finally get revenge against Mexico, the team that eliminated them from 2014 World Cup qualifying, who also beat them in a friendly afterwards, and then who also beat them in the Confederations Cup last summer. They've lost to Mexico 4 times in the last 4 years, and through this tournament, they lost to them a 5th time. So I'm going to say when these two teams meet again, New Zealand gets the win at home, 2-1. And finally, the last game of this group, Mexico versus Spain. I'm tempted to go with Mexico to get a draw at the Estadio Azteca, but Spain, just being professional side that they are, this is a team that typically dominates qualification. If they don't get the full 30 points in European qualification, they damn near get most of it. I think they finished 2018 with 28 points in qualification. I mean, that's staggering. And then in 2014, they finished with a maximum 30. Spain is a very efficient side. They almost always get maximum points when they're available. Always one of the more clinical European teams, especially in the last decade. No surprise whatsoever. The golden generation, Spanish players that have been coming through, especially through the domestic league. I think they treat every tournament as professionally as possible. And even though they would be making a long trip to Mexico City for this, I still think they win this out. I think they win 2-1, Spain. So at the end of this group, Spain maxes out and they get the full 12 points. Spain on top of the group with 12 points. Mexico in second with 3 points. Way, way, way below. New Zealand in last with 3 points as well, but an inferior goal difference. Yeah, I have Mexico and New Zealand to level on points. I like to spice things up in my tournaments, throw some unconventional calls and predictions here and there because tournaments that are straightforward are never really exciting, and it would make the series that I have a lot more boring. But I do still have Mexico going through because I think they would concede a lot less goals against Spain than I think New Zealand would. So Spain and Mexico go through, New Zealand are out. Moving on to Group B, Brazil, Nigeria, and Iran. You know what's interesting is Nigeria and Iran played each other in the last World Cup in 2014. They played out to a 0-0 draw. So in the first match, Brazil playing at home, I think Brazil right now is probably the best team in the world on current form. They win this match, I say 4-1. Nigeria versus Iran. This will not end in a 0-0 draw like it did in the 2014 World Cup because Nigeria would win this match 2-0. Iran versus Brazil at home in the Azadi Stadium in Tehran. Brazil making the long trip, but I still think Iran getting a positive result here is just too much to ask for. It's too much to ask for, and I think Brazil would win this. I'm going to say another 2-0 because I think it would be a modest showing from the host side. Brazil versus Iran at home. Gonna have to give it. Brazil would win comfortably, but I'm tempted to give Iran a goal. I say 5-1. But that's not a testament to Iran's poor quality. Iran's a good team. It's just that Brazil is Brazil. So I think Brazil would win this 5-1. Iran versus Nigeria, and just like I said with the previous match with Nigeria at home, this would also not be a draw like the 2014 World Cup. I think here at home, Iran would pick up the victory. I would say they win 1-0. And then Nigeria playing at home, presumably in either Lagos or Abuja against Brazil. I gotta give some respect to the best team in Africa. I think the best teams in Africa on their best day, they can get a draw at home at least against a high-caliber side like Brazil. So I'm going with a very exciting, high-scoring 3-3 draw. So where does that leave us? Well, it leaves us with Brazil on top of the group with 10 points out of a possible 12. 10 points. Nigeria in second with 4 points. Iran in last with 3 points. So just like this group, just like in Group A, there's a huge disparity between the top team and the bottom two sides, even though the bottom two sides do put in a respectable performance. So Brazil top of the group with 10 points, Nigeria with 4, Iran with 3, Brazil and Nigeria advance. So moving on to the semifinals. The semifinals sees Spain against Nigeria, Mexico versus Brazil. Now Spain versus Nigeria, a little bit of history between these sides. They played each other in the 1998 World Cup as well as the 2013 Confederations Cup. In the first leg, presumably in Madrid or wherever in Spain, I would say the Spaniards would win this match. And I'll say 3-1. Then the return leg, Nigeria versus Spain. I say that Spain still ekes out a win here, 1-0. So Spain advances to the final, 4-1 on aggregate, Nigeria to the third-placed game. Now, Mexico and Brazil is very exciting because there's quite a bit of history between these two sides. Mexico is one of the few teams in North America that can usually go toe-to-toe with Brazil. They've beaten Brazil several times in tournaments, including Copa Americas. They held Brazil, the host nation, to a 0-0 draw in 2014. For some reason, Mexico always matches up well with Brazil. I don't know, maybe it's just the style of playing, but Brazil usually has a difficult time with Mexico whenever they meet, just like as other South American teams that Brazil play in qualifying. For some reason, Mexico plays a very high octane, aggressive brand of football, and when you really take the game to Brazil, I think they're a team that's just not very used to that. And case in point, Mexico has been able to get results against Brazil, like I said, in major tournaments throughout the last 20 years. That's not to say Mexico usually wins when they play Brazil, but the games are usually very tight. And the first leg here at home against Brazil, I'm going to go with a fun little prediction here. I'm going to go with a 2-1 victory for Mexico. But in the return leg, Brazil against Mexico, I think Brazil turns it around and they win 3-1. So, on aggregate score of 4-3, Brazil goes to the final to play Spain. Mexico goes to the third place match to play Nigeria. So the third place match between Nigeria and Mexico, I will say the first leg would be, I'm going to go with a 2-1 victory for Nigeria. In the return leg in Mexico City, I go with a 2-0 victory for Mexico. So another high-scoring aggregate fixture. 3-2 on aggregate. Mexico wins the bronze medal. Nigeria comes in fourth place, which brings us to the final. Brazil versus Spain. Doesn't really matter what order it's played in, to be quite honest. It's a hypothetical. So Brazil versus Spain, who coincidentally, in my opinion, are the two best national teams right now. This is a tough one. But I would say this would end in a 1-1 draw. And then in Spain, I'm going to go with another draw. It's going to be 2-2. But even though we have two draws here, we do have a winner, because by virtue of the away goals rule on aggregate 3-3, it's Brazil who wins this tournament, with Spain coming in second. So in this hypothetical tournament of, I guess, the best, not champions, but the best teams from each region, it's Brazil who wins it, Spain who comes in second, Mexico in third, Nigeria in fourth. So leave a comment below, like, subscribe. I'll see you tomorrow, hopefully, God willing. Till then, everybody, have a good night. Much love and peace out.